Horns up, everybody. Horns up. Because I am now finally going to get the chance. Finally get the opportunity to review an album I have been waiting to review for a couple weeks. Finally found a sample of the album and with a bonus track, so this is one of the very few times I'm going to review an album with a bonus track. And as you see in the title below, Accept Blind Rage. The newest release from the legendary German heavy metal band Accept. The same band that produced hits like Balls to the Wall and Fast as a Shark, Restless and Wild. Wow. Where to begin on this album? I mean, this album is over an hour long. It's a long one, but it's an epic one for me, because all I've got to say, this is one of the best modern metal albums from an old band I have ever heard in my life. And ever since the turn of the 2010s decade, when Accept returned after a long hiatus with a new singer, Mark Tornillo from TT Quick, and Wolf Hoffman and Peter Bales, Herman Frank still in the band, and also they got a drummer, Stefan, some German last name, in the band to make this lineup for Accept in the modern era. Accept is a German band that started roughly around the late 60s, but they really got going as a real band in like the late 70s, when they were, even though they were a German band, they were associated a little bit with the new wave of British heavy metal, with bands like Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Def Leppard, Venom. There's just tons of bands on during that new wave of British heavy metal. I could say Diamond Head, Saxon, Angel Witch, Tigers of Pantang, you name them, they were there. Accept were somewhat associated with that scene, but they were from Germany, which set them a little bit apart. Plus, what they always said, that they were much heavier than the Scorpions, because they were only the second ever German hard rock, German metal band to come out of that country. And then eventually, soon after Accept, then you would have bands like Creator and Sodom and Destruction and the whole wave of German thrash, black metal, death metal bands. Even power metal bands like Halloween and Blind Guardian, bands along those lines. I mean, Accept, along with the Scorpions, have been the bands that have helped Germany out as far as heavy metal music, as well as the festivals and stuff that happens around there. But since the 2010s have gotten going, Accept has been on a roll, putting out awesome CDs. Blood of the Nations, which came out in 2010, was a huge surprise to a lot of metal fans like myself, because you had songs on there that were just memorable, like The Abyss and Teutonic Terror, bunch of songs like that. And then they had their album 2 years ago, Stalingrad, which pretty much picked up where that album left off. Even though it wasn't as good as Blood of the Nations, it was still a rock solid disc. But Blind Rage, I have got to say, definitely topped Stalingrad, and it's about equal or maybe a little bit better than Blood of the Nations, to the point where I'm going to go on the limb and say that this is the best Accept album since Restless and Wild or Balls to the Wall. This album was a monster disc. So, pretty much, when it comes to the tracks, the songs on the album that go along with the album title, Blind Rage, it's rage-inducing because of the lyrics behind it, being somewhat politically driven, talking about problems with war and people who want to be free out of bullies. Like, there's a song on the album called Wanna Be Free, which is basically a song about setting yourself free and not getting stomped around by a bully or somebody that thinks is more powerful than you. Like, there were great lyrics done on this album in terms of song meaning. Like, Stampede is like one of those anthemic songs that really gets your blood going and really wants you to just go in the pit and just start just headbanging and stuff. Like, it was all about that really getting you in a good mood for this album. Dying Breed was one of those songs that kind of went on a dark trend, but it was still memorable. Same with Dark Side of My Heart, Fall of the Empire, which was like a song pretty much about like how Nazis fell apart and how it helped the world, kind of stuff like that. Trail of Tears was actually one of those kind of, what you think of it was probably be a ballad. It wasn't even a ballad at all. It was just hard riffing, hard drumming, hard bass playing, great vocals, and just a powerful lyrical message to it. The song 200 Years is pretty much about a song about, problems with the world and how if stuff doesn't happen, then within like many years, then stuff bad's gonna happen. And they're pretty much singing like we need to stop doing the bad stuff that's going on and move on and help make the world a better place. That was one of those kind of messages that really get your thoughts going and your imagination going. Bloodbath Mastermind was one of those like crazy over the top songs in terms of the lyrics and how it was put together with just nothing but just all about like just going out and beating people up who you don't like that have been on your ass kind of vibe. From the Ashes We Rise was another great anthem on the disc that I really, really, really loved. The longest song on the album at 6.5 minutes, The Curse. Wow. Talk about some great riffs, great solos with diverse lyrical content. Wow. And then the closing song on the standard edition, Final Journey, was a great way to sort of put this album to rest, but just wow. It was a great closer. And then the bonus track, Thrown to the Wolves. You would think maybe bonus tracks wouldn't really help much, but I'll tell you, that bonus track was a great track. And it was the shortest song on the overall embodiment of the work at under 4 minutes. The songs on the albums were pretty long, between 4 to 6.5 minutes long, while this bonus track was under 4, but still it kept the vibe going until it was over. And really, whenever this album is over, you're gonna kind of get into like this kind of position, like, what? It's over? It can't be over! No, that can't be over! Now that I got that makeshift shit out of the way. But then you hit the replay button and you're happy again. And then it's over, you hit the replay button again. And after that cycle happens for about 2 hours, then you're kind of fine for a little bit. But then you would want to go for more, you know? You would want to go back. And really that's what this album is causing to do. Despite listening to it once, this is an album I'm probably going to pop in a lot on my computer. It's just an amazing disc. Wow. So the overall with this album, you had memorable riffing from Wolf Hoffman and Herman Frank, and I tell you, Wolf Hoffman's such an underrated guitarist. I mean, he's such a riff master, and he can produce some phenomenal guitar solos. Wolf Hoffman's probably one of the most rarely talked about guitar players in the history of heavy metal, and really without his kind of guitar playing and his stage presence, you wouldn't have seen the German thrash, black death metal, power metal bands doing what they do on the guitar if it wasn't for Wolf Hoffman, and how he was able to have the stage presence and how he can play. It was just amazing. The drums were absolutely crushing. I really, really enjoyed the drum patterns on this disc. The bass was audible and it was pounding and can stick to your head. The vocals from Mark Tornillo were fantastic as usual. And man, lyrics, he had some great lyrical content. The production, horns up and props to Andy Sneap. Andy Sneap is probably one of my favorite producers. in hard rock heavy metal because he just does such a great job. Some people may say it's too clean or too slick, but you know what? It gives the album that much bigger of a sound and a bigger overall package. Just awesome. I mean, Andy Sneap's done this for a long time, producing like albums for, say, Arch Enemy, Megadeth, Killswitch Engage, you name him, he's done them. And Andy Sneap, he's just the man when it comes to production nowadays. And finally, 3 in a row, Accept has really... The comeback for Accept has been probably one of the biggest surprises in the history of heavy metal. 3 in a row. Bravo. Bravo to you, Accept. And that's going to make the next album that comes out more exciting for me because they can probably keep the streak going and going and going until the band's done. Because they still have what it takes to write great songs and they can still play. And this album, I would say one of the most perfect modern heavy metal albums from an old school band I have heard in quite some time. I know people may think I'm being crazy, but this album's just phenomenal. 10 out of 10. This by far right now is album of the year. And unless some future albums like Cannibal Corpse or Obituary or The Agonist or other albums that are coming out later in the year, unless those surprise me, I don't see any of them topping this one. This one's going to be a hard album to top. 10 out of 10 for Accept Blind Rage. Unbelievable CD. After listening to the free sample, I'm probably going to go back and listen to it some more. And then eventually buy the disc. Buy this album, people. This is definitely an album to get. Because it's just memorable with the riffing and how everything was put together. The production was unbelievable. Wow. May have took a couple weeks late for me to do this review, but you know what? That way was worth it to find this album, and I'm still just blown away. Just unbelievable. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this review of Accept Blind Rage. The next album I do intend on reviewing at some point, maybe tomorrow or maybe during the week. Thinking between either the new Goat Whore album, the new Prong album, Vader, Lacuna Coil, Iced Earth, or maybe the new Dragon Force even. I've kind of wanted to talk about Dragon Force, or even a new Hell Yeah, or new Judas Priest. I gotta talk about the new Judas Priest at some point. Plus maybe Sabaton, or Septic Flesh, Anathema, Massacre. I would love to talk about Massacre because they're one of my favorite underrated death metal bands out of the Florida scene. Maybe the new Throwdown album. Maybe Suicide Silence. Who knows? But anyways, rock on.